2025 has been absolutely stacked, and with another season coming to an end, it's safe to say this year has given us some of the best anime we've seen in a while. From big explosive hits to underrated gems that slipped under the radar, there's been something for everyone. Action, romance, horror, and everything in between. So today, we're counting down the top 10 anime of the year so far. Whether you've been keeping up with every release or missed a few along the way, don't worry, I've got you covered. So, let's dive in. Starting off our list at number 10, we've got To Be Hero X. And trust me, this isn't your typical superhero story. Here, your powers don't come from training arcs or destiny. They come from your clout score. Everyone in this world got a number on their wrist called their trust value. The more people trust you, the stronger you get. Imagine if your Instagram followers could literally turn you into Goku. Yeah. In this world, your entire self-worth is basically like one big livestream follower count, and every 2 years, all of it resets with a massive tournament where heroes battle it out to prove themselves. Their performances decide their new rankings, their new trust values, and ultimately, who gets to stand at the very top, the spot that belongs to the most mysterious hero of all, simply known as X. But this isn't a single protagonist story. To Be Hero X plays out like an anthology, with each arc spotlighting a different hero's climb through the system. Some arcs are parody and wild antics, while others drop sharp commentary about fame, corruption, and how heroism twists when popularity is everything. The storytelling is bold, and the characters feel layered. Sometimes the so-called villains even seem more human than the heroes. Also, the animation is next level, blending 2D and 3D with polish that often feels on par with Arcane. Sure, it's not perfect. The pacing can be uneven, and sometimes that blend of 2D and 3D doesn't quite hit as clean as you'd hope. But even with that, To Be Hero X stands out as something fresh, bold, and way different from your usual superhero story. If you're tired of the same old caped crusaders, To Be Hero X is a ride you should definitely hop on.
原来这就是当英雄的感觉。在这个由信赖值缔造英雄的世界，就算是个无名之辈，也都有成为英雄的可能。
At number 9, we've got Dress Up My Darling Season 2, or as the internet calls it, the rom-com that's both wholesome and dangerously spicy. We pick up with Marin, the bubbly extrovert who lives for cosplay, and Gojo, the shy craftsman who brings her costumes to life. But the real magic here isn't just the cosplay, it's their relationship. Their romance feels natural in a way unlike most rom-com anime. It's awkward, it's clumsy, and it makes you want to scream, "Just kiss already!" Season 2 cranks this up with even more cosplay adventures, deeper emotional beats, and yes, a few camera angles that might make you check if someone's watching over your shoulder. What makes the story shine is the balance. The romance is sweet and funny, the cosplay designs are ridiculously detailed, and the chemistry between Marin and Gojo just feels authentic. Of course, the story isn't flawless. The fan service sometimes steals the spotlight in ways that feel unnecessary, and if you're not into that, it can be distracting. But the heart of this anime is still strong. It's a love story wrapped in cosplay, comedy, and teenage awkwardness. If you enjoyed Season 1, Season 2 feels like slipping back into a world you didn't realize you missed.
てか、五条くんも食べる？
いいんですか？
うん。
ありがとうございます。北川さん。
Coming in at number 8 is Gachiakuta, a punk rock explosion of grit, style, and attitude. The story kicks off when Rudo, a rebellious kid from the slums, gets falsely accused of murder of his foster father. Instead of getting a fair trial, he's thrown into the abyss, a wasteland where both trash and criminals are dumped to rot. But here's the twist. Rudo discovers that he can turn discarded junk into deadly weapons, and so his fight for survival turns into a rebellion against the corrupt world that betrayed him. But it's not just your average revenge tale. It's a story about injustice, discrimination, and what society chooses to throw away. And Rudo, he's not your usual cookie-cutter hero. He's rough, he's angry, he's reckless, but you can't help rooting for him. The fights are raw and explosive, the world building feels unique, and the jagged art style makes everything feel loud and alive. On the flip side, sometimes it leans a little too hard into being edgy, and the pacing between battles can drag. But when it hits hard. If you liked the grit of Akame ga Kill, or the underdog fury of Chainsaw Man, Gachiakuta feels like it belongs in that same rebellious lane.
お前らを人間を全員ぶっ殺す！
At number 7, we step into the haunting and heartbreaking world of The Summer Hikaru Died. The premise is chilling. Yoshiki lives in a quiet countryside town, but one day, his best friend Hikaru dies, and something else comes back in his place. The terrifying part? Yoshiki knows it isn't Hikaru, but he can't let go. What follows is this eerie dance between love and dread, because how do you deal with someone you still love when you're not even sure they're human anymore? Fans are obsessed with the atmosphere. It's not just horror, it's slow burn tension that creeps into every frame. The bond between Yoshiki and Hikaru is tender, painful, and terrifying all at once. Now, this is definitely not for everyone. The pacing is slow, sometimes uncomfortably so, and the tone is heavy, but that's also what makes it unforgettable. If you like stories that stick in your head and make you question what love and humanity really mean, The Summer Hikaru Died is a must-watch.
なあ、変なこと聞いてもええか？お前、やっぱ惹かれちゃうやろ。
お前のこと大好きやね。お前を殺したない。
At number 6, we've got The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, an anime that looks like your typical high school romance, but quickly proves it's something more. It starts with two students from very different worlds who slowly fall for each other. Sounds simple, right? But what pulls you in is how real it feels. The chemistry isn't exaggerated. The emotions aren't forced. It's a romance built on simple, realistic moments. It's less about dramatic confessions and more about the quiet ways people connect. Waguri, the female lead, is easily one of the most refreshing characters the genre has given us in years. She's grounded, kind, and instantly memorable, carrying the story with her warmth. The romance feels natural, the comedy blends in smoothly, and the emotional beats land just right. And above all, there's no over-the-top drama, no forced love triangles, just genuine connection and a sweetness that feels refreshing. Of course, it does dip into some familiar tropes. It is a school romance after all. But instead of feeling tired, it feels comforting, like why you fell in love with romance anime in the first place. If you enjoyed Horimiya, this one belongs right up there with them.
他でもないあなただから私は知りたいと思ったんですよ。
At number 5, we are thrown straight back into full-on aura farming with Solo Leveling Season 2. We are back with Jin Woo, who started off as the weakest hunter imaginable, and is now basically a raid boss. Season 2 takes him beyond just grinding dungeons. Now he's facing stronger enemies, crazier S-rank gates, and uncovering the truth about the system that gave him his powers in the first place. What makes this anime so addictive is how shamelessly it leans into the power fantasy. The fights are slick, the monster designs look like nightmares straight out of Berserk, and the soundtrack makes every battle feel like you're watching a cinematic trailer. And Jin Woo, cool as ice, casually farming aura while dismantling S-rank bosses like they're tutorial mobs. And fans are eating it up because this is the peak power fantasy. Now, is the story deep? Not really. Side characters barely matter, and the story sometimes rushes just to get to the next big battle. But that's exactly the point. Solo Leveling knows exactly what it is. It's a pure spectacle, hype, and one man absolutely styling on everything in his way. If you want smart political intrigue, look elsewhere. But if you want walls breaking, monsters exploding, and Shadow Monarch soloing armies like it's nothing, this is the show that delivers.
ここにいるのか王と呼ばれる者は。虫のくせに喋るな。
Number 4 drags us into a dark, mysterious fantasy world with Lord of Mysteries. Klein is just an ordinary man. That is, until he stumbles into a world of secret societies, occult rituals, and ancient gods that definitely don't play nice. What starts small quickly spirals into a maze of mysteries, with every answer unlocking even scarier questions. This is the kind of anime that grabs you from episode 1 and refuses to let go. It feels like Sherlock Holmes has stumbled into Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with a dash of Bloodborne for flavor. What makes it even more captivating is the atmosphere surrounding all of this. The vibe is tense and endlessly fascinating. The visuals feel straight out of a movie, dark, eerie, and dripping with gothic style. You feel like you're solving the puzzles alongside Klein, always a step behind but desperate to catch up. And when the big reveals hit, they flip everything you thought you knew. That said, the show isn't afraid to take its time. The lore is deep, the pacing can crawl, and if you're not paying attention, you might feel lost. But that's what makes it intriguing. It rewards you for sticking with it. If you love mystery layered with dark fantasy, Lord of Mysteries is one of the most addictive shows this year.
你们可以称呼我为鱼。
Sliding in at number 3 is Dandadan Season 2, the definition of anime chaos done right. This series takes aliens, ghosts, curses, romance, and comedy, throws them all into a blender, smashes the button, and somehow serves it up perfectly. Season 1 already gave us absurd battles and off-the-wall humor, but Season 2 takes everything we loved and cranks it up. Bigger fights, crazier powers, and emotional character moments that sneak right up on you. At the heart of all this madness are Okarun and Momo. Their relationship grounds the chaos with a surprisingly heartfelt core. One moment you're laughing at Okarun's over-the-top reactions or Momo's stubborn sass. The next you're hyped over an insane high-speed battle. And then suddenly, the show slows down and hits you with a genuinely touching scene. It's Jujutsu Kaisen levels of action, mixed with Gintama's absurd humor, and the sweet emotional punch of Toradora. And on top of it all, Science Saru went absolutely wild with animation. The fights are explosive and full of energy, with camera work that feels like it's straight out of a blockbuster movie. Even the comedic moments are animated with ridiculous attention to detail, making the gags hit harder. Runner-up at number 2 is Takopi's Original Sin, a series that tricks you right from the start. The main character is a cheerful pink alien named Takopi, who at first glance looks like he came straight out of Hello Kitty. You think, oh, this is going to be wholesome. Nope. You couldn't be more wrong. What you actually get is one of the darkest, most emotionally devastating anime of the year. Takopi leaves his home planet with one simple goal: to spread happiness across the universe. When he lands on Earth, he quickly befriends Shizuka, a quiet girl trapped in a broken home and carrying scars no child should ever have to. At school, she's relentlessly bullied and isolated, and to make things worse, her classmate Marina, who hides her own pain behind cruelty, becomes one of her harshest tormentors. Takopi, armed with nothing but his silly, happy gadgets, steps in with the purest intentions, but every attempt to help only makes the situation spiral further into tragedy. The story is short, sharp, and unforgettable, but also crushingly heavy. In just 6 episodes, it lures you in with a cute setup, then drags you through trauma, bullying, and painfully realistic situations most anime would never dare touch. It's raw. It's devastating, and it leaves you emotionally wrecked. If you thought Made in Abyss was dark, this one cut even deeper. If you're ready for something unique, daring, and devastating, Takopi's Original Sin is the anime that'll haunt you long after it's over.
男に寄生して生きてるアバズレの娘が道徳語ってる暇あるならパパを返してよ。マリナちゃん、待って。だから。その喋り方やめろって。これ無理だ。
And finally, at number 1, we have The Apothecary Diaries Season 2. This show has been nothing short of a gem, and the hype around it just keeps growing. Season 1 introduced us to Mao Mao, the sharp-tongued apothecary whose brains and medical knowledge kept dragging her into palace mysteries. But Season 2 takes things further. The court politics grow messier, the stakes are higher, and the cases Mao Mao has to untangle get darker and more personal. She's no longer just solving poisoning cases and odd palace illnesses. She's uncovering plots that tie into the bigger power struggles of the empire. And at the center of all this intrigue is her growing relationship with Jinshi. Their slow-burn romance is easily one of the most talked about aspects of the season. Every subtle glance, every teasing remark, every moment of unspoken tension has the fandom buzzing. It's not rushed or forced. It simmers quietly, making each interaction feel like a reward. What makes Season 2 shine is how it balances everything. The clever mysteries, the witty banter, the deeper exploration of Mao Mao's past, and the palace politics that constantly test her sharp mind. This isn't an anime that throws action in your face every 5 minutes. Instead, it builds tension patiently, drawing you in with relationships, secrets, and atmosphere until you're completely hooked. The writing is clever, the world building feels rich, and Mao Mao herself is one of the best protagonists in recent years. If you want smart storytelling, layered character dynamics, and a romance that keeps you grinning at every stolen glance, The Apothecary Diaries. Season 2 isn't just the best anime of the year so far, it's a masterpiece in the making.
なんだカエルか。
おい
ない。失礼しました、ジンス様。
And that wraps up my list of the top 10 anime of 2025 so far. Honestly, this year has been stacked. So stacked that I couldn't even fit in all the underrated gems hiding just beneath the radar. That's why there are no honorable mentions this time, because I'm saving those for a whole new video dedicated just to the underrated anime of 2025. So, what do you think? Did your favorite make the list? Or do you have another anime you think deserves the spotlight? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this countdown, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss upcoming countdowns and reviews. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.